Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227. Or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
And good morning and welcome to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet, and I am here in the studio with the late Patti Fink and Lerone Landis. Today is just a general news day.
It is. We haven't talked news in a long time.
Yeah, lots have been going on in the past 6 months.
Well,
we haven't had time to talk about.
Lots went on this week.
Yeah, just the last few days.
Heads were exploding in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. North of the Red River, just watch out for the mess. It's happening.
Pattie, what happened? Oklahoma.
A federal judge by the name of Kern, appointed by Clinton, ruled the Superdoma that exists in Oklahoma unconstitutional. So
how can you do that? It's Oklahoma.
It's a violation of the 14th Amendment.
But the governor said 75% of the population voted for this, so that's the law.
Well, that was also like 10 years ago.
Well, as somebody pointed out in the Daily Oklahoman, if 100% of the people voted back in slavery, it still wouldn't be legal.
Right.
Exactly.
And
yeah,
the person commenting on this wasn't so sure that wouldn't be what the vote would be.
Oh, exactly. I mean, they polled people in Mississippi, and 48% of them or whatever believe that slavery should be.
Mm-hmm. It's in the Bible.
Interracial marriage should still be.
Yeah,
it's in the Bible.
Yeah. So there you go.
There's a lot of stuff in the Bible, which a trans woman in Shreveport proved. This week as well.
Why? What did she say?
Oh, she there was one, as you know, recently the city of Shreveport passed a non-discrimination ordinance that covers sexual orientation and gender identity and expression, which is great because a lot of people, even in Dallas and North Texas, go through or go to Shreveport quite a lot. And a trans woman named Pamela Raintree showed up at the hearing where the council meeting where the one dissenting vote had proposed a repeal of this ordinance, and he was Councilman Ron Webb, and so she held up a stone, a rather large stone, and said, Leviticus 20:13 states, if a man lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, then they shall surely put him to death. I brought the first stone, Mr. Webb, in case that your Bible talk isn't just a smokescreen for personal prejudice.
It was an awesome photo.
And he promptly withdrew his proposal to repeal, and the withdrawal proposal passed unanimously.
Good for her.
So you go, girl.
Yeah, you go, girl.
Did you read the actual decision?
In Oklahoma?
Yeah.
No, I had not.
No, I have not.
I've read excerpts from it, but I have not read it.
And I have a few excerpts from it. Moral disapproval of homosexuals as a class or same-sex marriage as a practice is not a permissible justification for a law. Do you know where this judge got that from?
Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court.
Yep.
This has already been ruled, and it's going to be ruled again.
Yeah.
I talked to Ken Upton, who's been on our show a number of times. He's an attorney, a senior staff attorney with Lambda Legal. He likes this decision a whole lot more than he likes Utah. Now, Lerone, what happens if one goes before the other? It's the same circuit.
It's the same circuit, but they could be. Someone could probably file a motion to have the two lawsuits just joined together, combined, and I think that's probably what should happen. To go to, because they're both going to end up in the Supreme Court.
And they're gathering around the country.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's not just the 10th Circuit.
You know, we've been 2013 was a historic year for 9 states went marriage equality, whether it been by legislature or at the court. So we were like, okay, we're running out of room. We were almost at a deadlock. How many more states that can we actually get a victory in? And the only way we're going to turn the other 33 states that have these domes, if not super domes, is by the court. It's the only way we're going to get these reversed.
On the first of the year,
we're starting to see it.
The first of the year, you and I were talking about predictions for this year, and I said, I don't know which states will be numbers 19 through 25, but rest assured, number 26 is going to be Mississippi. And what's number 19? Utah. What's number 20? Oklahoma.
Who knew?
Who knew? Now,
so I'm predicting Idaho and Kansas and Texas and then Mississippi.
No, I say next will be Texas. We have
we
have a lawsuit pending also, and I think they hear arguments like next week.
I thought it was in February.
Or
next hearing.
Okay,
it's coming up.
It's coming up really soon. So, and Attorney General is just shaking in his boots that same thing's going to happen here.
He wants to move it out of this federal judge's jurisdiction.
Is this the one that Lambda Legal filed?
I don't think so.
Because the one that Lambda Legal filed, Ken Upton said to me, I can't wait to face Greg Abbott in court. He said, I've been listening to his crap for years. I am so tired of it. I will debunk everything that man has ever argued. Unfortunately, he won't actually be there. But
the one that Lambda Legal is involved in is the one against the city of Houston.
Oh, okay.
East Parker.
Right.
But we do need to get Ken on.
We do need to get Ken on.
Talk about, because it's just, they're coming out of the woodwork here. It's a lot of cases.
I want to go back to this actual ruling, because there were some real interesting things that this judge did. It's a very, very, in a way, narrow decision in the way it declares this law unconstitutional. The Utah law is very broad, or the ruling was very, very broad. They used Scalia's words against him. They used all kinds of, but it was very broad. This one, they disqualified one of the couples based on standing. They've disqualified some of the arguments. But he then refuted. He used the 3 Supreme Court cases that Kennedy ruled on, which was Romer, which was the constitutional amendment in Colorado. He used the Lawrence decision, and he used the Windsor decision, which got rid of DOMA. But one of the things that he did that I just loved was he took some of the statements that were made on the floor of the House in Oklahoma. And one thing that DOMA's, or that the court has ruled, is that animus, in other words, hatred for a group, is not a reason that you can legislate against them.
In fact, it's a reason you should never legislate.
Absolutely.
It should never be the basis of any legislation.
And legally, in the United States, it can't be.
Right.
So he used some of the statements like, this is a Bible Belt state. Most people don't want that sort of thing here. Gay people might call it discrimination, but I call it upholding morality. That was State Representative Bill Graves. To recognize something other than what God has ordained as traditional marriage obviously detracts or deteriorates the importance of the traditional marriage. That was the House Minority Floor Leader who said that. So what the judge said was, this is proof that at least in part, this law was based on animus. These statements show we don't like these people, we don't like what they're doing, and we don't want them here. If they're going to be here, they need to shut up. That's what those statements say. That's against the law.
And I think this is really significant because if taking this tack in the ruling is going back to the legislator's intent. And so you go to those words, you go to the record of what happened that caused this law to be passed in the first place. And if it's just, dripping with that kind of animus, I don't see how a court can deny that the intent of the law is to discriminate.
And that was the first ruling. That was the Romer ruling where Kennedy wrote that a constitutional amendment targeting homosexuals based on animosity lacked a rational relation to any legitimate governmental purpose. So he was very clear. That's what threw out the Colorado Amendment. And what the Colorado Amendment was, it prevented localities from
passing any pro-equality,
any protections
for gays and lesbians whatsoever.
Right. So that was thrown out based on animus. In Lawrence, what he took from that was moral disapproval did not provide a legitimate justification for a Texas law criminalizing sodomy. So
2106
gone, but moral disapproval. In other words, what the Supreme Court has now done, and there were lots of laws that were based on morals over the course of American history, but we've gotten to a point.
You used to be able to go to jail if you had an affair.
Sure.
If you were married and had an affair.
Well, I think that one's okay.
And just for the record, 2106 is still on the books. Texas legislature won't delete it. They keep reprinting it with the asterisk that says it's unconstitutional.
I'm surprised they even put that in. I'm surprised they don't figure, let them go find out themselves.
Another immediate something that separates the Oklahoma decision versus the Utah one, he immediately did put a stay on it. So whereas in Utah, for 3 weeks, same-sex couples were allowed and did rush in to get married.
Almost 1,400.
It's a lot. And whereas in Oklahoma, none.
And then from the Windsor decision, here's one of the things that he pulled. He said that treating opposite-sex and same-sex marriages differently demeaned the couple, and this is a direct quote from Windsor, it demeaned the couple whose moral and sexual choices the Constitution protects.
And I like he used the word choices, because that's been the bane of our existence. We're always arguing about if it's a choice or not, and really when you get down to it, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It really does not matter.
Religion is a choice.
Religion is a choice. People switch religions all the time.
Oftentimes, many times through a lifetime.
Yes, absolutely. So it really doesn't matter if it's a choice or not.
Yeah. And even people who don't switch religions, you'll switch a church. You move, you go to you try out several churches. Well, you live here? Why is that church over there a better church for you? You need to be in this one.
Yeah, you have to stay in this church for the rest of your life.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice, and it's a good choice.
And not having a religion is a choice. Yeah, it's among the options.
It is among the options.
But it's all the
choice.
Freedom of choice.
It's all choice.
Yeah.
Whether or not you get married and who you marry, it's your choice, and
or a choice not to get married.
And the government has no business treating one marriage differently than the other.
Absolutely.
When I was talking to the New York State Comptroller, who's the person who files those shareholder propositions against Exxon every year.
Because they're fully invested in, they have huge investments for their pension
Over $1
fund.
billion worth of Exxon stock is owned by the New York State pension funds, which he controls. So he files these shareholder resolutions, and what he said, and his wording is real interesting, he doesn't say, we've legalized same-sex marriages. It's not a same-sex marriage thing. To him, we issue marriage licenses in New York, and because we issue marriage licenses to a variety of people, and those people might be a different set of people than are issued marriage licenses in some other states, a company doing business in our state, it is illegal for them to pick and choose which one of those licenses we've issued.
Right.
And that's the way he frames it. Ask him how many same-sex marriages there have been in New York since it was legalized about a year and a half ago, and he will tell you, I have no idea. We just issue marriage licenses. We don't issue Jewish marriage licenses. We don't issue gay marriage licenses. We don't issue
interracial marriage licenses. I mean,
and we don't issue marriage licenses to first cousins like some states do. But
it could be one, could be 100,000. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
He doesn't know. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter. The only statistic he's pleased with is the divorce rate has gone down.
Imagine that.
So, yeah. Right. But I love the quotes that this judge used. And I love the way he put it together. And Ken Upton from Lambda Legal also said, this is the decision to defend in court. What he likes about Utah, or the only thing he likes really about Utah, he loves how broad and liberal and whatever it is, but what he likes about Utah is it's further along, so we get it faster. And consolidating the cases will delay everything.
Right. But this case in Oklahoma began in 2004.
Yeah, so they're slow.
So that's actually what was going to be my next question. How long do you all think either of these cases, or if they consolidate them, how long do you think it'll take to actually get to the Supreme Court?
I give them 12 months. I give them not this coming session.
Yeah, they can't do
the Supreme
this
Court.
Session. It'll have to be next session.
The following one in 2015. I think it's going to hit no later than that.
So you're saying the fall of 2015. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think the Supreme Court wants Windsor to sink in. Wants the repercussions from Windsor to ripple out across the economy, have each of the agencies issue guidance. I don't know what's so tough about that. The guidance should be, if you're married, and it was legal in the jurisdiction where you got married, you're married. You're not gay married. These aren't different. Married. You're not straight married. They're not different marriage licenses. When it comes to paying your income taxes, when it comes to getting a pension, when it comes to insuring your spouse, you're married. Period. End of story. Move on.
I think that argument, and they're two separate arguments. I think that one has a better chance of succeeding at the Supreme Court than the other. And the other one is states have the individual rights to deny marriage licenses to same-sex couples. That one, I think, is probably the bigger challenge for us. But the other one, as far as if you got married in one state, does the other state have to recognize it? I think that one is probably more on our side, because you're right. Once you're married, you're married. It's not you got to go to California, get married, and once you move to Minnesota, no, you're not married, and so on and so on.
Well, our guest that we had this summer, the couple lived here, one of them moved to California, so the guy in California is married to the guy here in Texas, but the guy in Texas isn't married to the one in California. How does that work?
Yeah.
And they were separated really because of a work situation.
A work situation, right.
Well, I think it's going to get kind of crazy when if we go to the heart of it, the states recognize contracts made in other states. They recognize children. They recognize parental rights, and they recognize adoptions. All of these things that cross over state lines. At the very heart of that, if the state of Texas just believes it cannot or should not recognize, or it can get away with not recognizing that of other states, and then it's made to, then there will be people here who are same-sex couples who are married that the state recognizes because they've been married in another state, and those who cannot marry here. And I think that's going to blow up. That's where we blow up.
Okay, so here's the damnedest thing. In Utah, which sued, and this isn't what we want, and people voted, and blah, 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 and so the Attorney General who's filing the lawsuit, he's issuing guidance this week. The federal government said, we're recognizing those 1,300 marriages. And so the Attorney General this week said, and those couples can file joint income taxes for the state.
Isn't that interesting? I
It
just
is
thought that
interesting.
I was like, what? Do what? I double take.
Mm-hmm. We'll be back with more Lambda Weekly right after this.
You are listening to KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
The Dallas Volunteer Attorney Program, a joint initiative of the Dallas Bar Association and Legal Aid of Northwest Texas. It is an organization dedicated to increasing and enhancing pro bono legal services to the poor in Dallas through the recruitment, training, and support of volunteer attorneys. DVAP offers numerous legal clinics for Dallas County residents. For more information, dallasbar.org/DVAP.
Hi, this is Patti Fink, and you're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM.
And this is Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink and Lerone Landis. And wait, Lerone, wait. We have your music back.
Oh, we do?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, music. Hadn't heard that in a long time. Nominations for the Oscars came out this week, and nominations for LGBT characters were a bit scarce for the Academy Award nominations. But as expected, Jared Leto was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and Matthew McConaughey was nominated for Best Actor for the age drama in the Dallas Buyers Club, which also picked up a nod for Best Picture. I was surprised about that one.
And Best Screenwriting.
So, and
then two minor ones, like makeup, I think, or costume, something.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here.
There were 6.
And then Philomena, a British film about a mother's 50-year search for her gay son, scooped up 3 nominations, including Best Picture and Best Adaptation. Now, I'm not going to go through all the snubs, but of course, everybody has their idea of who was snubbed this year. But as far as some of the gay snubs, The Butler, from the openly gay director Lee Daniels, picked up 0 nominations.
Excuse me, I don't know why they keep doing this to him, but it's supposed technically it's Lee Daniels,
the Butler. Yeah, because, but ever since then they still just call it The Butler. Yeah, but I remember that, Patty. You're right. He had to fight for because another film a long time ago was called The Butler.
1906.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Yeah, but yeah, 0 nominations, and
that's a snub.
Yeah, this is a big time snub. Now,
although. Did you see it?
Oh, I saw it.
You liked it that much?
I liked it. I liked some things about it.
People in my office who saw it all said, well, it's in the next tier, but it...
I thought particularly Forrest Whitaker was snubbed. I thought he was great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no, there was a lot of early buzz about Oprah Winfrey getting nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and she picked up the nomination in all the other circles, the Film Critics Award and stuff like that.
Well, the SAGs were last night. Did she get a SAG?
I think she got a nomination. But other than that, I thought at least Forrest Whitaker should have gotten a nomination, but he didn't. Let's see here. Now that the Duck Dynasty fiasco has died down, 2 more celebrities have picked up the anti-gay slack this week with foot and mouth comments. First up, ABC's The View co-host Sherry Shepard. She said that in an interview that she was asked what did she think the biggest misconception about her was, and she said that she thinks a lot of people think she's homophobic. She went on to say that, you grow up being Christian and you grow up believing that homosexuality is a sin and that you're going to go to hell for it. This is something that they teach in churches, and that's just what she grew up with, but she says that, I may not agree with your lifestyle, but I love you. Yeah, and she's getting a lot of heat for it.
For that last part of it, but she's right about the rest of it.
Oh, yeah.
She is right about the rest of it.
She was taught all of that.
But the thing
you take responsibility for yourself, I get it. But she's right about that part of it. And I think that part of it really was the more important part. Stop loving me so much. I don't need your love.
Exactly.
Just ignore me, please. But that first part of it's important.
And there's nothing to argue about. She's absolutely right. But I think...
I was taught that. I'm gay, and I was taught that.
Yeah, I was taught that too. But what really bothers me about her comment, not just her, there's a lot of people that feel the way that Sherry does, and that is... Okay, you want to point out to us that you disagree with our lifestyle. One, you really don't know what my lifestyle is. As if
and I have a life, not a lifestyle.
Exactly, as if we all live exactly alike.
I disagree with her lifestyle.
Exactly,
she makes an awful lot of money and
for nothing,
and gets publicity whenever she says something stupid. I disagree with that lifestyle.
What gets me about people like that is, well, why do you tell everybody else who so-called sins? Do you tell them that you disagree with their lifestyle?
Yes.
It's only us.
I'm saying yes, I do, because
well, I know
I'm very judgmental with everybody that.
Oh yeah, you are.
So
what's her name? Jennifer Holliday said something similar without the end part. It was, I grew up with it, and yet I love my lesbian sister. She's my life. Right. It's basically what she said, and a writer for the Dallas Voice, who no longer works there, blew that up like, she's on her church. That's not. She was saying something completely different. She wasn't saying that part that I disagree with the lifestyle. She was saying, this is what I was bombarded with in church. This is, I did a Gay Straight Alliance group several weeks ago at a high school. I was talking to them, and we were just asking general questions, having general discussion, and there was one girl there who said, in my church, and she went on with this nonsense, and I said, so they're judging you because you're gay, right? And she said, yes. And she had a mouth on her, I could tell. So I said, next time you hear that from somebody, you walk up to them, put your finger in their face and say, how dare you judge me? How dare you?
Yeah.
That's my response to it.
And it's a good one.
Here's a second foot-and-mouth comment this week. ABC's The Bachelor, Juan Pablo Galaviz, told the reporter that he didn't think that there should be a gay version of The Bachelor because gays are more perverted, and that he said that they're a bad example for children to watch. He did come back. He quickly apologized, and he said, now, Juan, he's American-born Venezuelan. He said that English is his second language, and he got the words mixed up. He said that what he meant to say was that gays are more affectionate and intense for that on TV, and it's too racy. He said, I don't even let, he said, the show that he's on is very racy. He said, I don't even let my 5-year-old daughter watch that.
Okay, I happen to agree with him. His original statement, 100%, there should not be a gay bachelor. Can you imagine that show? You can't show porn on TV.
As the lesbian here, I'm staying out of that.
No,
we've already had a gay bachelor.
I am so with him on this one that no, there shouldn't be the gay.
But there's been a lot of buzz, I think, about the fact that the show has had no diversity at all.
None.
And here they've sought out a Latino to participate, not an African American. I mean, there's really no color.
I was going to say, let's because even though he's Latino, he looks very much Caucasian.
Right.
You wouldn't know it unless he told you.
Right. So there was like this mix of that happening too. It's like, well, no, they finally get somebody who's not a white guy. And
right, and
this is what he says?
Yeah, exactly.
They're not very pro-diversity over there.
Not
I
at all.
so agree with him.
Now, of course, ABC has come out.
Can you imagine? Everybody would be dating everybody else on that show.
Well, there was a show like that about lesbians. It was called The L Word. That, in fact, opened with a chart about who's dated who.
Exactly.
That's right.
You wouldn't be able to keep up with this show.
Wouldn't do it. Yeah. And last, the creators behind the ABC family show The Fosters, which features a lesbian couple raising a family, said that due to the criticism from 1 million moms, the show got off to a very strong start with huge ratings, according to Nielsen. Now, the executive producer and former Lambda Weekly guest, Peter Page, said a stamp of disapproval from 1 million moms is like a critic's pick, and, quote, I'm incredibly grateful for their attention. He's right.
Yeah, it's like when we do protests and we do the parade or do whatever, activist action we're doing, and there aren't any protesters, we've kind of failed.
Yeah.
It's like a badge of honor to be able to, wave at them as you walk by, and, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And add to the Duck Dynasty thing, they've lost viewers.
They have.
It opened with much lower ratings.
Much lower.
It went way up, and then they've lost a third of those in a key demographic, too. Mm-hmm. They've lost about almost half of the ones in their age demographic 18 to 49, which is the ones they allegedly have money and they want to target.
Right.
So they're still very high. I mean, they're top of the ratings too, but they've lost. They're not the king.
I could be wrong, but haven't they already announced that this is their last season?
Oh, have they announced that?
I believe so. Not A&E. I think somebody from the show said this. That this is going to be their last season.
Could be.
Oh, I don't know.
Could be. Go out while you're still hot.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you do. Much better way to keep up their brand, because they make their money not off the show. The show just helps sell their products.
And their products are everywhere.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I don't think that many people hunt duck. Really don't.
No, according to them, they probably want to hunt gays.
Well, you never know.
A couple of other people-y type news things. Anise Parker and her partner, Kathy Hubbard.
Her partner, now her spouse.
Got married in Palm Springs this week. They had a quiet, low-key wedding. Somebody in Houston, probably her regular antagonist, she has one, who organizes all these things. He had a protest in downtown Houston. He is now organizing a recall, not a recall election. They don't have recall. They want her impeached because she got married.
Because she got married.
Now, this Houston lawsuit.
The Houston lawsuit has to do
What is that lawsuit? Yeah.
That lawsuit has to do with Anise Parker's executive order for domestic partnership benefits for sitting employees.
Right, and she wrote in her executive order that based on the Windsor decision, she felt that the federal government was instructing other places around the country to offer partner benefits to married couples.
Yes.
Now, after her marriage, she also announced that Kathy would not be going on her insurance. Kathy has the availability of insurance elsewhere, and it will not cost the city of Houston anything in the way every other mayor of Houston has cost the city
Right.
for their spouse's insurance. Little knife in the side.
It is.
And she's right. But Kathy has been getting her insurance elsewhere. Other mayors generally didn't have working spouses, so they cost the city money. Anise is not. Good reason to impeach her, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, we know it's not going to go anywhere.
No, of course it's not going to go anywhere. She's too popular, first of all. Second of all, who impeaches in a city? I guess it would be the city council.
I guess. But you got to have like some good legal reasons to remove somebody.
Well,
And getting married is not one of them.
getting married legally.
Well, she did get married legally.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Getting married legally is not one of them. Yeah. Louis Gohmert, one of the biggest idiots in Congress, he opened his mouth this week. Did you hear this week's comment?
Oh, no. This week in Louis Gohmert?
He's saying that judges who are gay rights advocates, they need some basic plumbing lessons. For one omnipotent, omniscious, ubiquitous federal judge who is wise beyond his education to make such a declaration about the law, I think requires revisiting by each state and compliance with the Supreme Court.
Huh?
Yeah, that sounded like a bunch of gobbledygook.
Okay, so what he's saying is the Supreme Court has ruled. Oh wait, didn't they rule on our side?
I was about to say, when did they rule?
3 times?
Yeah. What Supreme Court is he talking about?
Who knows? Who knows?
This is like the guy in, I forget which state, declared that he was like a majority leader on whatever state legislature, said that recently that it's impossible for a spouse to rape another spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
You know, which basically says that once a man marries a woman, he owns her. He can do anything he wants to her anytime he wants.
Yeah.
Well,
if she can't say no,
ever,
then he owns her. She is property. I mean, it's so bizarre. It's just, all of it's
well,
so
you know,
this rationale of it.
That is old school traditional marriage.
Who was our guest last week? He wrote a book about having been raped in a relationship.
Right.
You know, rape happens. Women can rape men rape women, husbands rape wives, men rape men.
It's across the board.
It is across the board, and
this idiot wanted to, not make it a law in the land, whichever. I'll have to look it up and revisit that.
Mm-hmm. This guy thinks he lives in Russia, apparently.
We're going to go there.
Apparently.
What are they thinking?
Yeah.
What are they thinking?
It's Louis Gohmert and Michelle Bachmann. There's a whole little group of them.
Unfortunately, he's running for re-election unopposed again, and she's out.
She's out
as of this election. So, one more people note: Jimmy LaSalvia. Jimmy LaSalvia was a member of Log Cabin Republicans. He left Log Cabin Republicans because he felt they weren't conservative enough. He formed an organization called Go Proud, GOP, proud, and it was a. Some people call it a Tea Party version of Log Cabin. Some people just call it a more conservative version of Log Cabin. One thing he did all along was he was fighting for equal rights for gays and lesbians. There's no question there.
He did.
You know why? You know why he was doing that? Because Log Cabin doesn't do anything like that. It doesn't fight for equality for LGBT people in their party. They endorse these people. So, Geo Proud, I mean, granted, it is a more conservative, but it had members like, Dick Cheney.
Now, Jimmy LaSalvia this week quit, he did quit Go Proud, but he also quit the Republican Party because he found there are bigots in their party.
Surprise, surprise.
Did you know that, Patty?
This is news to me.
Oh, okay.
I thought I had heard rumors about that.
I'm so glad I listened to Lambda Weekly because,
me too.
we learned so many good things here.
I get it, what he's saying. Maybe really what he's saying is, because he knew this all along, I mean, he's the one who's actually going toe-to-toe, talking to people in Congress who are Republicans, and getting in, and getting Republicans to come to his events. He knows who they are and what they believe. Maybe really what he was saying, and this was reported poorly, was that he's just fed up. I mean, you can only do this for a certain amount.
It sounds like to me he's just like he's at the end of his rope. Like I can't do this.
I'm tired of being bashed. By these people. I'm for every single one of their conservative values, and government staying out of people's private lives is about as conservative a value as there is, except when it comes to gay people and women. And their choices.
But I think there are a lot of people, and if you've done activism, it can be really tiring and it can be mentally fatiguing, and you just feel beaten down sometimes. And some people recover from that and say, I'm just going to take a minor break and then I'm back, or they just forge ahead. But I get the impression that he just gave up on them. There's no cracking that nut. Literally.
I mean, and now he's not going to go. He's not running and he's switching over to the Democratic side.
No,
he did say
he's
that.
He says
he's an independent conservative,
and as conservative as he's ever been. He didn't change any of his values.
No,
I think he's just. I think he was badly reported. And my first reaction was what I said at first. He realized there are some bigots in the Republican. I think that was badly reported. I think nobody sat down with him, and for him to just be exasperated. So
yeah, and that's sad because there really needs to be some sort of effort and ongoing pressure, but it's not coming from Log Cabin Republicans, guaranteed.
Right,
that's not a priority for them.
But I wonder, what could we do as far as our gay liberal groups, or liberal or not? But what could we do for individuals like him to not necessarily get him to switch what he believes, but get him to not even vote for? Because that's the really part of the problem, is when they vote for these conservatives who are so against us. Being part of the group is one thing, but when it comes to voting, that's where we get really stung.
But there are other people who claim to be Republican who are voting against their own interests time and time and time again. In fact, most people who are in the Republican Party are voting against their own interests. Poor people. I mean, lots of people are voting against their interests when they vote, and so it's not just the LGBT people. And so, but to me, that's a special kind of stupid.
You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink, with Lerone Landis. We'll be back with more of the world's oldest, longest-running gay and lesbian radio show anywhere right after this.
The 28th Annual Elite News Martin Luther King Jr. Day Parade and Festival is coming this Monday, January 20th at 10 a.m. on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Dallas. The parade ends with a festival inside the Tower Building at Fair Park. KNON will be in the parade and at the festival. It's the voice of the people in the People's Parade. Without the work of Martin Luther King Jr., a station like KNON would not have been possible. The voice of the people celebrates Dr. King's legacy in the Elite News 28th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day Parade this Monday at 10 a.m. on MLK Boulevard in sunny South Dallas. More information, dfwelitenews.com.
Sparky's Pals reminds you that your pets don't have cell phones, so make sure they can find their way home if they get lost. All pets should wear identifying tags and be microchipped. For more information, their website is www.sparkyspals.org. Their phone number is 214-823-7257.
Don't listen to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM Dallas.
And KNON will be in the Martin Luther King Day Parade this Monday starting at 10 a.m. on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Dallas. Look for us in the vehicle donated by Fiesta Limousine and the KNON Volunteer Crew Fleet. We'll be broadcasting live. It's your community radio station, KNON 89.3 FM, the voice of the people, in the People's Parade this Monday morning on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in South Dallas between Lamar and Fair Park. This is the second largest MLK Day Parade in the nation. KNON thanks Fiesta Limousine and Elite News for supporting us in this year's parade. Lerone, Russia.
There
yes,
we are.
It is.
There we are. Well, I think Pattie actually has the news about Russia as far as, I guess, someone who's gay has been arrested already.
Right. The torch is making its way to Sochi ahead, of the Olympics beginning. The opening ceremonies, I believe, begin the first week in February, which is coming up. Mm-hmm. And because it's run on foot, it's going to take a while for it to get there. So it's making this long trek through Russia. And a gay activist unfurled a rainbow flag along its route and was promptly arrested.
Now, this is despite Vladimir Putin's insistence that would not happen.
Right. Well, Putin was, I believe, saying that those who were coming from other countries.
Yeah, from other countries, should feel safe. They would be okay.
But the other part of his statement...
As long as they leave children alone.
Leave children alone.
Yeah, I have that here.
What does that mean?
What does it even mean?
Let me tell you what he says specifically. He says that gays will be welcome to the Olympic Games. Speaking about he said, emphasize that no gay person will be arrested so long as they do not speak to anyone underage. Oh, my God. So I can't even say hi to a little kid?
You can't say, hi, I'm gay. I think that's what...
Wait a minute. What would that mean for me if I took my kid? What does that mean for gays and lesbians who have kids and travel to Russia?
I don't think that's legal.
I'm like, oh, my God.
I don't think so either.
No, and I'm saying I don't think... I wouldn't recommend you ever did something like that.
Oh, no, of course I wouldn't, but... Some probably would.
And the U.S. State Department has put out a travel advisory for LGBT people traveling to Russia.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of shocking.
And when I say I wouldn't advise it, there hasn't been a court decision on it yet. What is this law actually? It's a real broadly worded law. It's not clear what the law means. But leave kids alone.
Yeah.
He's not saying don't talk to them. He's saying leave them alone.
That's all I can think of as Pink Floyd's The Wall.
No, he did say don't talk to him. He said do not speak to anyone underage.
Oh, okay. I have a different quote. I'm sure you said this several times.
Let me see. Under the gay propaganda law, the wording of the bans the promotion of non-traditional relationships to children. So, I guess you're right, Patty. As long as you don't say, hi, I'm gay. So I couldn't... Yeah, wow.
Yeah, wow. I mean, breathing while gay is while openly LGBT in Russia is an offense.
Now, here's when I say, what does he even mean by that? What do straight people do that bothers kids or that interacts with kids in another country in a language they don't speak? What is this interaction he thinks that's going to happen?
Hi, I'm straight. I don't know. I think the whole
makes
point
no
of it.
sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And I think the whole point of it is that gay people need to shut up and be in the closet and pretend they're straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And don't be who you are. You don't exist.
They think we're so hedonistic and gross and sick and everything else that all we think about is sex. I guess if we touch a child or say something to a child, it's going to rub off on them.
And if we show like a rainbow flag or we wear a decal on our hat or we have a button on, that's somehow going to like corrupt a child if they see it.
I don't know.
Now, other countries are jumping on Putin's bandwagon, and these are bigots from countries. You had one.
One of the Olympic officials from Italy said this week, it was just a ludicrous statement, that he was angry with the United States for sending 4 lesbians in the delegation.
Okay, name the lesbians.
The lesbians are Billie Jean King.
That's one.
I can't think of her name now. The hockey goalie.
Oh yeah.
And Brian Boitano. So I just wonder how Brian Boitano feels about being called a lesbian, labeled a lesbian, or possibly two lesbians.
He's 2 lesbians.
He's 2 lesbians.
Or is Billie Jean King 2 lesbians?
No, I think it's Brian.
Well, either that, or they know something we don't know, and one of those other 20 people, because there's 10 in the opening, 10 in the closing, maybe one of those other 20 people, or 2 of those other 20 people are lesbian.
Well, he just felt like it was making it political. So he felt like the United States should send no gay people.
Yeah, because the Olympics aren't political at all.
Right, and so my question is, what do you felt about Jesse Owens going to the 1936 Olympics in Berlin?
Right,
where he debunked the entire premise of this inferior human being bullshit. Excuse me.
Right.
Bleep.
But what is he even thinking? First of all, we're not going to other countries and suggesting who they should send in their official delegation.
Right. It's nuts. It's really nuts.
And the idea that the Olympics aren't political, when you win the gold medal, you stand on the highest platform, and they play what?
Your national anthem.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not political at all. You're right.
Exactly. Well, while we're on the subject of international news, let's move over to, is it Nigeria?
Nigeria.
First there's Uganda, now there's Nigeria, who, they haven't passed a law. I guess their president, he says he doesn't want to sign it yet. And you have...
That's Uganda. It's Uganda that hasn't signed it.
Uganda, okay.
Nigeria has. The police targeted gay men, tortured them into naming dozens of others each, who are now being hunted down.
And taken from their homes and arrested.
And taken, when they're finding them, they're being arrested. And now there's no death penalty. They're just being killed in police headquarters.
Right.
Oops. Big oops. Oh, look, they died.
Yeah.
The Jail the Gays bill, it further criminalizes homosexuality and will endanger programs fighting HIV/AIDS. Because even though in Africa especially a majority of people with HIV are straight, it's still seen as the gay disease. Even in the place where it isn't the gay disease, it's seen as a gay disease there, and it's going to endanger, and more people are going to die from it. Hopefully some of these police officers.
I'm really have a great deal of anger against a lot of the uber right-wing evangelicals from the United States who've gone to these countries in Africa to encourage and rile them up and inflame.
Scott Lively, as soon as we have proof that one of these people has been killed because he went to their legislature, spoke, and encouraged this law, I want him arrested and charged with murder or accessory to murder.
I think and it's not just him. There are several of them have gone there over the years and really, really pushed this because they know they can't do it in the United States. They know they can't get away with that kind of discrimination.
We as a country, we should pull back our aid that we send to these countries.
We should stop buying their oil.
Stop buying their oil, and it's the European countries that provide to them also. I don't know how come the UN hasn't stepped in, and they have said something about it, but they really haven't done anything. Like, there needs to be some serious sanctions.
I have one other thing, because it's Scott Lively and crew that are the murderers.
Yes,
these are the.
These countries didn't have
the genocidal fascists.
Off the rails. Yeah, they have these off the rails policies and thoughts. They're pumping them up.
Here's my question to Hillary Clinton: when we knew what they were up to, why weren't their passports pulled? Because they're causing State Department problems around Africa, around this region. It is costing us money to try to fix what they were doing. You don't have a right to cause international incidents around the world. You just don't have that right. Your passport is something, everybody has a right to a passport unless, and it's not that uncommon that somebody's passport should be pulled. Talk about a terrorist. These people should be on the terrorist watch list. They shouldn't be allowed on a plane. There are so many angles to get at this. So I'm annoyed at Homeland Security for allowing them to go. I'm annoyed at the State Department for keeping their passports valid. And these criminals belong in jail because they are starting a genocide against gay people in Africa. And not all of Africa.
Here's how serious and ludicrous and just, venomous this law is, or what they're doing. These aren't, the people that they're pulling haven't even been proven to be gay. You could just be, they think you're gay. They're going to go grab you and throw you in jail. And you probably won't come out alive.
I mean, it's the ultimate don't ask, don't tell.
Oh,
because you don't even have to do anything, and they can come get you.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happened in Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Everybody could abide by the whole thing, and they still got kicked out of the military.
Yeah. Exactly.
Except these people are getting killed.
They're getting killed.
Yeah, higher consequences here. But it is criminal, and it wouldn't be allowed if there was say, someone from the KKK was, leaving the United States and vocally, proudly traveling to, say, South Africa and trying to rile up, say, we need to return to apartheid.
We'd stop.
We need to, we'd stop them
in a minute.
We would, pull them in and question what their business was, going to South Africa. I mean, especially if they did it repeatedly, and these guys went how many times? Repeatedly over the last many years. It's stunning. It's just stunning to me.
Yeah, and Uganda doesn't have its law yet, but it's passed.
It is passed.
It's not. The president hasn't signed it.
And that's a kill the gays law. This one is just a jail the gays law.
Right.
Just.
And
but they're
potentially jail them for life.
But that's the thing. They're really interchangeably. Even if they don't put the language in there that you can't.
No, we'll kill them in the police station.
We'll kill them in a police station, or if a gang of thugs go and kill you, it's not like they're going to be prosecuted for it.
Right.
So I mean,
all they have to do is just write a note on your gate.
Yeah, it's like,
and let your hateful neighbors come do it for them. It's bizarre. It's Neanderthal. It's a Neanderthal way of living. It's insane. It's just insane.
The United Methodist Church has formally charged another clergyman for presiding at the same-sex wedding of his son. Reverend Thomas Ogletree will be tried on March 10th for violating church law against officiating at a gay union. It's the second high-profile Methodist trial in recent months. In December, Frank Schaefer, who's from central Pennsylvania, he was defrocked after officiating at his gay son's wedding in 2007. And for some reason, somebody at the last minute, because there's a statute of limitations, at the last minute reported this. First of all, what kind of disgusting people stick their nose in people's business like this?
I thought...
And why are there so many gay sons of preachers?
It's always been that way.
Big gays.
Ron's raising his hand.
I thought the Methodist was one of the denominations that actually allowed same-sex marriage.
No.
Oh.
They allow full participation in the church. The one thing they don't have is same-sex marriage.
You can be ordained in the Methodist Church as a gay person, I believe now.
Okay.
Used to be you couldn't.
If you're celibate.
If you're celibate. Good point.
So nobody with a partner would be ordained.
And I should check that out, because I used to keep up with all that stuff, but I'm not sure that's true, but I think that's
I thought that, but it's not.
Right, so is the Methodist Church, by having these high-profile trials, trying to split the church in half?
I don't know. I think personally, I think what a lot of it is that the people who are anti-gay, who don't want any sort of welcoming of gay people in the church, are playing the rules. I mean, we see it happen in legislatures all the time. You can play the rules, and if the rules state in the Book of Doctrine, in the Methodist Church, that this is what will happen if you invoke, this kind of question is asked or this kind of thing is alleged, then these things must happen. And I think that's what they've done. And so the church is bound by its policy to follow through.
In a city like Dallas, you can go to North Haven United Methodist Church or Highland Park United Methodist Church. You go to whichever one you want to go to. One of them, North Haven, welcomes the gay community. Highland Park United Methodist, probably not so much.
Unless you're coming in with a check. Sorry, it's just recovering Southern Baptist in me.
Wait a minute. And a big check.
And a big check. So, yeah.
Pattie.
Sorry.
Probably right.
Southern Baptist.
I have a feeling,
It's hard sometimes.
I have a feeling, though, with some people who are so fanatical about their beliefs in certain things like that, it's not a matter of the check. They don't want it.
True.
They don't want it. People who are this vindictive against a popular pastor, because that first one, he was extremely popular.
He was. But I think at the end, he had a decision to make to renounce what he did, and he chose not to.
It was his son.
It was his son, exactly. He chose to stick
What a
with his son.
disgusting ruling by that church, asking a father to renounce his son.
Yeah. And
that's disgusting.
He couldn't do it, and I don't blame him. That's the father.
That's a pastor who's respectable. I mean, I know he's going through a bad period right now, and actually I think he was offered a job within the church out in California that he was considering. I didn't hear whether he's taken it. But what kind of a disgusting argument? Yeah, I just don't get that.
Now, Governor Chris Christie this week vetoed a transgender bill, transgender rights bill. And he's in the news a lot recently, don't you think?
You think?
Yeah.
Now,
there's something specific about that bill that you had to have, in order for your birth certificate to be changed, you actually had to have the equipment changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas
in a lot of states, that's not the case.
Right. You had to have surgery, and that's not practical for some people.
Right.
Not just the cost, but some people medically can't do that.
And some people just don't want to.
Some people don't want to.
As we know, it's what's between the ears, not between the legs, that matters.
Anyway, that's the end of Lambda Weekly for this week. Next week, our guests are that couple that was on the Rose Bowl parade float. They've gotten lots of hate, including from the gay community. Be an interesting conversation.
It will.
We'll see you next week.
Join us then.
Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.